All right, guys, good morning. All right, Instagram going to come around a little bit. How are we doing, guys? Good morning. All right, we're going to take it outside today. So hello to all of you just joining in. Good morning. So a little bit of strength and play on the menu today. You guys are going to get to do a little bit of, hopefully a little bit of fun. Let's see if we can teach you a couple of new things. So just while I'm going to set the scene a little bit, what I need you to do is grab something straight. So that could be like a broom, a brush handle, a mop, doesn't matter. I've just got a bit of a bar from the rig, but something straight. So we're going to use it for a little bit of a mobility drill in a couple of minutes for the elbow lever. So let me tee this up. Hopefully everybody can hear me all right. We are going to go outside today. It is a bit dark in the UK. It might rain for a number of different reasons. We're going outside. So what we're going to do today is strength and play. Just to set this up, guys, a pencil. Pencil's going to be short, mate. Getting a little bit bigger than a pencil. What we're going to do is set this up. Strength and play is one of our most enjoyable parts of calisthenics training. It gives us the opportunity to build basic strength, to really enhance our capacity to be able to do more things. But often we talk about playing around with easier movements. We're still learning to move in new ways. We're still challenging ourselves to play around with different patterns and positions. But they're really a lot more achievable than some of the big movements like a handstand or a muscle up or human flag, for example. So we can get some really nice little wins along the way. So I'm going to show you a few things today that we like to play around with. The general thing is going to be, we're going to start off with a little bit of lower body today. So we're going to go through some lower body patterns and movements. We're then going to go through elbow levers. I thought we could have a look at some single arm push-up progressions because probably at home, people at the moment doing a lot of push-ups. So we might want to just kind of look at some progressions that we can play around with those, keep those interested and moving forwards. We might look at a bit of headstand, shoulder stand stuff. And if you've got time, we're going to look at some hanging, some ice cream maker progressions potentially as well. So we could literally be on this for about an hour, but I'm going to try and keep it to 30 minutes, give you guys some stuff to play around with. Follow along if you want to. Sit back and enjoy and do it later if you would rather do that. Any questions, guys, you can post them up. Instagram, you're here. YouTube, you're there. Post up the questions. Let me know how we're getting on and if we need to go faster, slower, anything we want to recover. All right. So we're going to kick off with low body because we don't always do that. So we're going to look at a couple of low body progressions, and it's a good thing to get moving in the morning, right? Get the hips going. So I'm going to take a step back. You guys can follow along. Right. So our first pattern position, what you guys can get into is we're going to go into our deep squat position. All right. So feet shoulder apart, drop yourselves in, and we're just going to spend a little bit of time. If you guys find this a bit high, a little bit. Ideally, you want to be feet facing forward, drop it in. If we can get the knees out a little bit, give some space. Find a position which works. I want you guys to rock and roll in there for a second. All right, so spend a bit of time just feeling those patterns out. We're going to start to mobilize the hips into a little bit of a flow movement in a second. So one thing in here, guys, we often want to slump forwards. If I show you this from the side, we kind of get into this position. What I want you guys to think about doing is trying to get up straight. Can we get into a nice reach position? Sit in that shape, side to side, rocking about to get those hips moving. All right, next one. We're going to come from our sit position, and what I want is this knee to the floor. Okay, so we're just going to try and bring these two knees in a bit of internal rotation. Try and keep the hips as straight as you can. Hands out for balance. Just roll into that shape. Let's do 3 or 4 each side. Back into your deep squat. Chest up tall. Let's do another one. Drop knee in. Left. And then right. Okay, good. Nice and easy. All right, so next one we're going to do, I'm going to take a step back. Let's go a decent lunge position for the side. Nice little side position. We're going to use a bit of a traveling pattern in a sec. And you're just going to drop in. And can we sit into our Cossack position? So foot comes up off the ground. Can we spend a bit of time sitting in? Transfer back out. Over to the side. Again, try and get that chest up tall. Let's go again, other way. Sitting in. Okay, adductors, hips, bit of mobility in that deep squat position. Last one, cross the other side. Nice little Cossack play pattern to move around in. All right, good. Let's come back to middle. YouTube, I'm going to move you up a touch. How are we getting on? Morning, guys. Morning, morning, morning. All right, so next one. we're going to drop into a bit of a traveling pattern, a bit of strength and play for the lower body. So we're going to start off into our pattern here, and I just want just a little bit of a, bring your hands up, and we're just going to try and walk. Here we call it a monster walk. We're just trying to keep that chest up. We move around. I'm going to come so you guys can see from the front. Try and stay in that low hip position, just popping in and out. There's our monster walk. Hopefully, you're probably all laughing at yourselves now because it's a lot harder than it looks. All right. Next one is our monster walk done. We're just going to try and do a little creep forward. So I'm going to come forward, drop this knee to the floor, and I'm just going to move through. You can see I'm just going to try and get that knee out of the way. Give yourself a little bit of a run up. Sitting in, knee comes forward. Try and keep the knees moving forwards all the time. Oh, there's a stumble there to pick the knee up. All right. Back into your squat position. And now this is the big one, the grand finale. We're going to move one knee out to the side. So this foot, I'm going to come up to my squat position and lean up onto the toe. I'm going to point the knee in the direction I want to go. This leg is now going to sweep, and I'm going to do a 180. I'm going to come from here, spin around, and finish in that shape. So this time now I'm going to rock over onto my left, bring the leg around, and sweep. All right, back into squat position and go the other way. Point the toe where you want to go. Lift the knee up over the top. Hands out for balance. You want straighten that leg. There's no balance. Straighten that leg and bring it round. Through and back. All right, we'll go one more back the other way. Squat position. Turn the foot. Drop the knee over. Come through. Find your balance. And through. All right, stand back up. All right, a little bit of hip stuff in there to get us moving. Yeah, it sort of keeps them tough. Even I fell over on that one. Can't keep foot on the ground. That's going to be probably a calf tightness issue predominantly. So a little bit more lower body mobility. We've got a full lower body foundations class in the virtual classroom, which is going to tell you exactly how to get on the corrective strategies for all that sort of stuff. Thanks for the warm up. I'm done. Is that it? Session finished? Got a little bit of lower body would be nice today. Get us going again. All right, let's move on to a little bit of upper body stuff then. So takeaways from that one though, if you're struggling with the hip mobility, you've got to spend some more time on it. Check out all the stuff that we've got in our virtual classrooms. Loads of hip mobility, loads of lower body foundation stuff in there, which is going to help you if you find that's you're a bit tight in those positions. Right, so we're going to do a little elbow lever. I'm going to show you what the movement is. I'm going to bring it back and we're going to show you the progressions through to get up into it. So elbow lever looks like this. I'm going to get into position, set ourselves up, so make sure I'm both on the screen for both of you guys. And then I'm going to try and go here and hold the balance. All right, really little progressive, easy sort of pattern if we know a couple of tricks to get this one right. So the first one is going to be dependent on how much rotation I can get into that shape. In the elbow lever, we need to be able to get our elbows set into our hip position. I'll show you that again in a second. So if you guys have got a little pole or a brush or a broom handle or something like that, which is just nearby, grab a hold of it, because this is a nice little mobility drill to help us to get some more range of movement, which is going to help for our elbow lever. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of seconds, grab a little pole or something, and you're going to grab overhand position from here. And then all we're going to try and do without stumping, we're going to try and sit up straight, is I want you to push with the right hand to drive this left side external rotation. All right, so we're going to push out and hold that position. Hold, 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 hold. And I'm going to push back the way. So now I'm going to push with this hand, my left, and I'm going to push the right side out, trying to keep up nice and tall in the posture, pushing through. Trying to get some range, just give it a gentle little nudge back the other way. Pushing across. Feel that in the shoulders just mobilizing out. Back the other way. We'll do one more each side. This makes a massive difference for your being able to get into the right shape for your elbow lever in the first place. All right, so pushing through. One more side. mobilizing that into a little bit of external rotation. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to fire up a little bit of strength. So we're going to go for a pseudo planche push-up. Now this is a little bit of a, someone's just asking what we're learning today, strength and play, Woody. So a little bit of bodyweight training, play around stuff, some simple movements you can have a little bit of play with. Nothing too kind of complicated, but just some nice little patterns to have a go. All right, so this one's with elbow levers. All right, so we're going to drop into a little bit of pseudo planche push-up. So we'll show you the setup. What's going to happen is rather than having hands forwards in a normal push-up, what I want us to do is we're going to spin them around. Okay, our job from that position there is just to lean forwards over that base. All right, so from here, I'm just going to lean forwards a little bit, keep everything tight, so butts, cracking a wall between the butt cheeks, pulling the rib cage down top of the hips, and from here I'm just going to drop in and push back out. Okay, that push position is a real strength point of where our elbow lever force is going to come from. So we need to just let's get that warmed up a little bit. So if we get into position, let's go for a set of 6 to 10. You guys can see how you feel like you want to go on in terms of your volume. So elbows round, roughly pointing out like 45 degrees behind you. Lean forwards, everything nice and tight. Drop in, and then push back through. Keep your shoulders stable. 2, 3, let's go for 6, 4, 5, 6. All right, good stuff. So we've got a little bit of rotation. We've got a little bit of strength in the shoulders going. Let's see if we can put that into a balanced position. Now, when you go into your elbow lever, what we're going to try and do is create the same position which we were playing around with on the bars. We're going to try and bring the elbows down, and I'm putting them on my hip bones here. They're going to nestle into this position with the hand in that same position, the push-up that we just did. So from here, elbows go in, lean forward, and you're going to push in that same pseudo planche pushing pattern that we just did. So, I'll show you what it looks like. Hands on the floor to start off with. Bend the elbows. And then from here, you can kind of keep the knees a little bit bent. You can make it a touch easier. So rather than going straight out, we can come through, bring the knees in into a position here. Just when you get into your position, guys, lift yourself up, lean yourself forwards, and you almost just kind of like, with my knees on the floor there, I can rest my elbows in the right position. And then as I want to, I start pushing, leaning forwards, and see if I can find the balance point. If I can feel stable here, I can start to play around with it until you get your balance. All right, have a little play around with that. Have a little go, guys. See what you think. Any questions? Post them up. A couple of people say this is a bit difficult, so there's some progressions in here, guys, and it's just a matter of getting stronger in different shapes. So you just got to play around with some of this stuff, and hopefully it's something for those of you that have done a little bit of calisthenics or got some basic strength stuff. You can get involved. There's a few people saying they need a coffee before they get into this in the morning. All right, so elbow lever. Any questions on that song so far? Show another go. Yeah, so someone said, Johnny Ford, if you do hands out to the side, you can do that position. The hands can be turned, play around with that shape. The reason for going further back or round is that you're just going to have more opportunity to get the elbow tucked into a better position. If you go straight out to the side, you might find hands to the side, you might find that elbow still needs to play around in that, it might kind of come out a little bit. So if you can keep elbow twist in, hand behind you, you're going to kind of sit into that shape. All right, let's have another go for those of you actually trying to give you more points. So, if you're finding it's difficult, guys, just see if you can get that lean position. So can you find a shape here where you feel stable? Can you lean forwards? And can you literally just get your elbows on the knees, into your hips there? If you can't get that shape because it feels difficult with the wrists, then we've got some more mobility work that we need to do. Okay, it might be that we spend a bit of time working out some wrist mobility, starting to play around with some different patterns to improve our range of movement through the wrist. That could be an easy little fix if it feels like that. If you haven't done a lot of hand balancing and the wrist feels unstable, then we just need to kind of take it a bit easy and build upon these a bit more progressively. So that's the first one. Can you get into that position to balance? If you can, we're in the right shape, then it's a confidence thing. If you're finding the strength or the mobility difficult, then we just need to wind it back. We can still build up to some of these things, work on shoulder range of movement, work on some of those pseudo planche push-ups, and you'll find it starts to come together. And remember, you're teaching yourself to learn to move in a new way. The neural connections take a little bit of time. So play with it, do it frequently on session, just a few times a week, just touch base with it, and you'll soon find that you make these little connections and you start to move forwards. Let's have one more go. Elbow's going to go around, set yourself in, push yourself out, try and get as straight as you can, nice tight position. And that is our elbow lever. Anybody face plant? Bush proof, yeah, hold on to bars a little bit. It depends on the grip position. Yeah, you can do it in both ways. But either or really, it just kind of depends on the position or the shape you can get into. But both are useful things to be able to do, bar and floor. Who else we got? One wrist is weaker than the other. Any options to alleviate the pressure? More mobility. Got to look after the joints a little bit. And this is one of the things why I think calisthenics is so useful. Is some of this stuff will expose weaknesses in your kinetic chain. You can probably go into the gym, you can push weights and all that sort of stuff, but you'll never really kind of get a real sense of where your weaknesses in your kinetic chain are. So when you do things like this, you're all of a sudden realize, you know, my wrists are really tight, or I can't get that rotation position. The more we move in different ways, the more options we have to move, and the more we're going to understand more about how we can move, or the options that we have available. So if we are tight and jacked up and we can't get into positions, that's not a good thing from a human movement perspective. We want to be able to get good range of movement in lots of different shapes. That's what the human body needs. So use this as a reason to start working on some things that you probably often neglected. Right, so a few other comments coming in. A few face plants. Part of the process, I'm afraid. Cool. All right. So how we play around that one, guys? Something for the week to have a little bit of a go at. Let's go for, I'm going to gauge the room a little bit. Give me some quick thumbs up, guys. You want a single arm push-up progressions, or do you want to go for some like head and shoulder stand progressions? Which ones are you thinking? I'll take a short pause so you can tell me. Push-ups, single arm push-up progressions, or head and shoulder stands? They take a little while to come through. Any thoughts? Otherwise, I'm going to go push-ups. Single arm push-up. Yeah, single arm push-up, all right? First, single arm push-ups. That's what we're going through. And then we'll do head and shoulders. I've done both there, why not? All right, so let's go. And now it's like 50-50. Right, we're going to do both. I've just been disconnected. YouTube, you still with me? Hopefully we're going to get me back. There we go. I think we're back. All right, we're going to go single arm push-ups, and then we're going to do head and shoulders, and I'll scrap the rest of the stuff that I have planned. Right, so push-up progressions, we're going to build this up from a single arm from some two different patterns. So lots of people say head and shoulders, sit tight. We're going to do them. We'll do push-ups first. They're quick. First thing, our normal push-up here. Our single arm push-up is going to be in here. All right, so our job is to build up enough strength on one side so we can carry it. So let's start off with an archer. So we're going to take a slightly wider grip or base with our hands. And then when we come into position, we're going to drop in and push back out. Now there's a little trick with this one. Lots of people will find when they come in that they just end up pushing back to middle and up. What we want to try and do is keep weight to one side. So we're using more force from one arm than the other one. So if I stay in wide, as I drop out, I want to push back out of that side. Then I can go to the other side, push in and back out. The straighter we make that arm that's not working, the harder it's going to be. All right, so play around with the position, and as you build strength, you're going to get the arms to go a little bit straighter. So I show you a couple of sets. I'm coming here and I'm pushing straight up off that side, as opposed to coming in and pushing back out to the middle. All right, I want to try and load up that one arm as much as possible. When you're first starting out, guys, if this is a brand new position, play around with it, right? So you've got a freeness, it's all strength and play, it's not strict rules. So if I need to get into some stuff and I'm pushing out and come back into the middle, that's just a progression to be able to make that a little bit slicker by using force more predominantly on one side than the other one. So have a go at that one. Just see if you can feel that push pattern, feel the difference between relying on one side more than being able to push back into the middle, and just get some ideas. Because this is dead simple, right? We've got push-ups in the program whilst we're training at home. Just throw some of these in as a variety. It's just really useful variation, but building a load of strength as we go along. All right, so if we can get our arches going, these are our archer position and back up. The next one to see is if can we get a bit of typewriter movement going. So kind of drop in, stay low, transfer, and back out. Again, the longer we make this non-supporting or the non-driving arm, the harder it's going to be. Looks a little bit cleaner, but you can progress these through so you've got different. You can build this strength up as you go progressively. Yeah, so do those. You can do those on your knees. We can drop those into a little bit of. You can even do band assisted around the weights. A band around the hips. Just again, play around with these positions. The thing in question there about staying low, it's all about that strength at end range. So can I get in, hold that position? Can I stay strong there? And can I get out of that position? So it's just starting to build more strength in these different positions. This is exactly what strength and play is about. It's not easy. It's not all kind of like fun skill stuff. There's work to be done, which is going to help us to get stronger so we can progress and move forwards. All right. The next one that we're going to have a quick look at from here is if we can use a bit of assistance. So we're comfortable with our kind of archers and tight writers, we can play around in those positions. And I'm going to use faithful little rugby ball as a bit of support. Just seeing questions come through. If you do on your knees, guys, that's cool. Perfect, no problem. So to move from my wide position to starting to get a little bit more weight off, I'm gonna bring in a bit of support. And the good thing about using a ball is I can adjust where it goes throughout the set. So with hand on the ball, I can set it out to the side, take a slightly wider base with the feet, so you're gonna spread your legs out a little bit behind you. So from here, hand's gonna go on the ball for support. When I drop in, I wanna try and keep that elbow tight to the body. What I don't want is the elbow going out to the side here. So I drop down, elbow screwing in, pushing back out, screwing in, pushing back out. So that's just going to help us to create a line goes through. You can use the ball. I can bring in here if I want to. As I get stronger, I can start to just remove it through. And now I can start to put less and less support on it. So literally fingertips if I need it. And driving back out. Just put these reps and sets together, guys. These are all strength-based movements, which are going to help over a period of time to start to build more strength in patterns. All right. If we can add these up, this is not like necessarily all a quick win stuff. Put a little bit of work in, build the strength, and the good times will roll. How do we get on with those progressions, guys? A little bit. I know a few people finding some of this a bit difficult this morning, but just give me a quick thumbs up if we're okay. Still working through some of these. Bit of a whistle stop tour, guys, but just thought this morning I could give you a few ideas, some stuff to play with. I'm going to have a little bit of hunt around with some of this stuff. So again, on that push-up position, in here, nice and tight, driving back out. All right, in tight, driving back out. Split the feet in your single arm push-up. Hand can go behind the back, and you're almost going to rotate into it. Archer, very difficult, but rugby ball version is a good way to progress. Yeah, hope that helps. Anything you can use, anything. Even if you've got like a little set of parallettes or that's something you can just adjust and put your hand onto, football, whatever it might be. It's just going to help you to build a little bit of strength. A few people say it's a toughie this morning. We had to up the ante at some point. It's always going to, we talk a lot at the School of Calisthenics about how important strength is. Strength underpins everything. It's much easier to do skill-based movements the stronger that you are. And we use this stuff to just give you some variety. Otherwise, it's push-ups, pull-ups, and dips, right? Like those things get boring after a while. So this sort of stuff is just challenging yourself, moving a new way, but having mixing up a little bit of variety into your training program. All right, any questions on single-arm push-ups before we get into some head and shoulder stands? I'm aiming for half an hour today if we can. All good? All right, let's go headstand. before we do shoulder stand. Now, this is a movement which we don't sometimes include in courses because you've got to be careful with it. We're going to go and put a fair amount of pressure through the neck. So if you've got any existing neck issues or tightness or issues around the discs, I just want you to be careful with this one. But it's all about which position we're going to put the head into, and it's a nice little inversion which we can use. But do take it a little bit steady. Get a cushion if you want to. But we'll have a little play around with it. All right. So next one, headstands. We're going to start, guys, in our hands down position on the floor. And then we're just going to start to drop in, and you can up onto your tiptoes. Now, the point of the head that we're looking to get on is just this, the kind of middle point. We don't want the tip of the forehead on the ground. We're looking to put the middle point of the head on the ground. And Instagram is just frozen on me. Maybe my phone is just frozen. Let's see. I'm just going to try and get these guys back online. Instagram's crashed. YouTube, you got me all to yourself. Let's do some headstands. Right. So, bear with me a sec. I'm going to try and get them back on. Guys, my YouTube, we crashed. We're back. All right. So, we're going to go headstand. Hands on the floor. Dropping the head onto the ground. As I said, we're looking for the middle portion of the head, not the back, not the front. We're looking for right in the middle. We're then just going to drop it in. You guys have got a couple of ways to get into it. We can kind of go frog stand position, so we can make this elbow position. We're going to do the same thing as we've done before, screwing the elbows in rather than letting them flare out to the side. So keep them in nice and tight. That's going to create a shelf. Keep thinking about gripping and ripping the floor apart. I want you to think about pulling the ground apart, because that's going to keep the elbows pointing behind the body. So I'll show you from the front. I'm going to go through the pattern. I'm going to go here. Head goes on the floor, knees can come up, and then I can just hold in that position to make sure I feel comfortable. Now, it takes a little bit of strength to get out of that shape. So there's another way that we can do it. I'll show you both. So to start off with, I can go here, head on the ground, frog stand position. I can push up into shape here, and then I can lift. Keep those elbows tight, keep pushing the floor down. The more work you're continuing to get activation through your shoulders and pushing into the ground. So you can lift yourself up. The other way we can do it is we can go head on the ground, and we can come into just tip off the tiptoes and lift ourselves up that way. Pop through, straighten up. And there is our headstand. So have a little play around with that one. Sorry, Instagram, I lost you for a minute there. But key things are to keep pushing the ground down, keep those elbows in nice and tight, and then just letting that, make sure you get in the middle of your head, squash the old barnet, down onto the floor rather than coming onto the top of your head. All right, how do we go, guys? Any success? A little bit of cushion. MLO personal training, yeah, definitely gives you a little bit of support on the head. Lots of people just joining in again. So any questions on a headstand? A little play around with that one. Seems to be doing all right. Maybe everyone's quiet. Everyone's gone upside down. All right, let's do one more. So a little bit of practice. Hands on the ground, elbows pointing behind the body. I'm going to tip through here, take my feet off, keep pushing, and I'm just going to lift upwards into a tuck. And then as I get more stable, feel your balance position. You can just push up, looking behind. And there's our headstand. How do we get on? All doing all right? All good, just hard to return the control. It's hard to control the return. Yeah, getting back down. Better that way than going over the top. So yeah, you can just, it comes with that one. The best thing with that one is just to kind of progress up and then don't go too far vertical, so you can just allow yourself to drop back down afterwards. If you're still stuck in a frog, you can use a little bit of band support to help to pull you through. A bit more shoulder strength is going to help with that one as well. Any tips for newbies? Go and jump on our Bodyweight Basics. It's free at the moment on our virtual classroom, so go and check that out. That is going to be the best thing you can do to get started in calisthenics. All right, let's have a quick look at a shoulder stand as a bit of variation. So, shoulder stand requires some parallettes, kettlebells, something where we can get a little bit of elevation. You can do it on books and bricks if you wanted to as well, but these are going to be our best option. Now, for a shoulder stand, if I was going to go handstand, I'm probably going to have the parallettes somewhere around here. For a shoulder stand, what I want to do is bring them closer together, because the idea is that I'm going to use the parallettes to allow my shoulders to rest on, which is going to take some of the weight away, okay? So it's exactly the same kind of setup as a headstand position, but I'm going to come forwards, and I'm just going to, this time, rather than my head being on the floor, I'm going to get a nice tight position here, holding the bars, shoulders are going to come and rest on top of the hands and the bars, and then I'm going to do that same process of lifting myself up. It does require a little bit of strength to be able to pull yourself out of that bottom position, but that's what we're talking about, strength and play. All right, that's the name of the game for today. So hands go on, sit myself in, I'm going to rest on my shoulders, I'm going to pull myself up into a tuck, and then I'm going to start to straighten out. Keeping pushing the ground down. And we're just allowing the parallettes to take some of the weight by pushing on the shoulders. Let me show you that from the side. So parallettes fairly narrow together. Coming through. Keeping it tight, elbows going to go in tight, lift up, keep pushing down hard. And there is a little shoulder stand. So the parallettes that we've got, I'm using there, gravity parallettes. We sell them on our site when everything's in this in stock. So there's a little bit of a shoulder stand option for you. All right, so we've done a little bit of lower body today. We've done some nice little play positions in our squat pattern. We looked at Cossack. We looked at, what else have we done today? Crikey. Planche push-ups and elbow levers. All right, nice little bit of an option to play around with. They're super achievable. If you haven't done much or you fancy trying to play around with some stuff, work on that mobility drill, work on a pseudo planche push-up, and then start to get your play around that movement pattern for the elbow lever. You can get that quick. It's a really easy, fun one to play around with. Okay. Elbow to shoulder to headstand. Some variations and suggestions coming through. That single arm push-up position for you guys is going to be something different to play around with. If you can get to a stage where you're working sort of multiple reps of single arm push-ups, then it's a really nice strength adaptation for your general pushing strength. Learning to move in your way is something a bit different, and they get tough, like multiple sets. We talk about, like, sometimes people will be struggling to not be in the gym at the moment, and they'll be like, oh, I've got weights and all this sort of stuff. When push-ups are easy, you don't need a lot of, you don't need anything to make push-ups more difficult. It's all about just changing the body position so that you can start to leverage more forces, different lever lengths, different ways to try and get that progressive overload, and that's how you're going to continue to build strength. Feel like we've got a lot of newbies in today, so apologies if that's been a bit difficult, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of an idea of that calisthenics is much bigger than just handstands, muscle-ups, and human flags. There's loads of stuff going to be within this, which we play around with all the time, which keeps it interesting. There's tight rider pull-ups, archer pull-ups. We can do wipers. We can do some ice cream maker stuff on the bars. And it's just, there's so much stuff to play around with. So hopefully you can pick some of that to have a go at today. I'm going to show you one more, just so we've got a bit of pull, because we've done legs and push, a bit of vertical and horizontal. Let me show you one more. I'm going to get the rig a little bit closer. And we're just going to look at a real simple ice cream maker progression, which is a nice little one to play around with. So bear with me. Change of set. All right, I'm ready. Ice cream makers, you can do this from a high bar. I'm going to go low just because it's easy for you guys to sit in, but you can do it with obviously straight body and pull through as well. But it's going to be a combination of a pull up and then drop into like almost like a tucked front lever is what we're going to do today. So from here, I'm going to start in the bottom position. I need to pull myself up. I'm going to keep the elbows in nice and tight. Get the feet off the floor and kind of just hang in that shape is the first point. If I can do that, I'm then going to try and lower myself out into a tuck and try and pull myself back through into that top pull position. So kind of tuck from here, drop down, lower, pull back up, back down, pull back up. It gets difficult, bear with me. We can get a band. So it might be that we use a band like a cradle. It's going to go around my hips, up onto the bar, and I'm just going to sit in it. All right, so from here, I can still drop in and pull back up. Sit through, drop in. Band is now pulling me upwards, so I can feel that kind of tuck front lever position. Pull back up. Drop in. And back. It's always scalable with calisthenics, guys. You just need to understand a few tools that you can play around with, and that's going to help you just to find and bridge these progressions to move through. So, there's a little bit of what I have planned today, guys. Whistle stop tour, but sometimes rather than giving you like a real strict follow along with the strength and play stuff, I just wanted to give you a few ideas of what is possible and achievable. Stefan, why is it called ice cream maker? When you do it with your legs straight, think like a paddle is how it's going to move. So when you do it on a bar, you're going to come up, you're going to drop out into a front lever and then back up. So it would look like a paddle movement rather than that tuck position. But it's a little bit easier to set up with a bar today and probably a bit more progressive for most people to get started at. Any chance on Wednesday you can start 5 minutes later? P with Joe Wicks is a must in this house for little share the TV for YouTube. We'll see what we can do. I have to negotiate on Wednesday with my wife, taking a Jack, my little boy, and a dog out for a walk. So we're doing at 11. 11 is not a great time for Jack to go for a walk. So we had to bring it a little bit earlier. It's just these lockdown problems, right? Things that we never had to deal with before. All right, guys, I hope that's been a little bit of an interesting half an hour, 40 minutes of just, as we call, strength and play. Just to recap, get strong, learn to move in new ways. It underpins everything, and there is so much that you can do to play around with whilst you are at home. Don't require any equipment at all. There's so much more of this sort of stuff that you can do. In our virtual classroom, we've got a video library which you can get involved in. There's lots of these different movements in there to play around with. That is 7 days free at the moment, and the first one is £4.99. And you would not believe the amount of content that we've put in there. There's absolute tons in it. So if you want some more of this sort of stuff, go and have a little look at that. You can just go and have a hunt around, see what you think. It didn't rain. That was a big positive. Hopefully that was useful, guys. I'm going to sign off. I've got tons of work to do today. Hope you guys have a good day, and we'll check it. I'll probably see you again next Wednesday. And this, where is this going to be in another week? Getting serious, right? All right, guys, have a good day. We'll see you very soon. I'm going to sign you guys off YouTube. See you later.